when I was growing up, like, I mean, we were O's, our teens were in the O's, and then our, like, 20s were in the 10s. And I loved, Bright Eyes, Death Cab for Cutie, all that stuff. And then, but then, like, after Transatlanticism, well, no, I take that back, because Death Cab for Cutie is pretty solid all the way through.
Yeah.
The Narrow Stairs one, you remember that one? Anyways, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, as I grew up, these people started to do more stuff. Like, Bright Eyes didn't really feel very good to me anymore. But I could still go back and be, like, emotionally jarred by old songs, but...
Yeah.
You know that trickle down your head you get whenever you hear a good song?
Yes.
When's the like that one comes few and far between now for me.
Yeah.
So Twig was one of those for me.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Whenever it started up, I was like, because it reminded me of when I started too.
Yeah,
I used to I had a little 4-track. You remember that 4-track?
Yeah.
We wore that thing out.
Yeah. God.
But yeah, it kind of reminded me of those days. I was like, oh, I'm in this.
I'm pretty sure it is 4 tracks on BandLabs.
It's just simple. But yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day, and welcome to episode 24 of Rhythm and Wit, the podcast and video series where we discuss and explore the creative and artistic expressions of artists and performers in Oklahoma City and its neighboring cities, also referred to as the greater metro area. My name is David Steele. I am a bass player, a music producer, a graphic designer, a photographer, and a film hobbyist. My co-host is Nicholas Campbell. Nick is a stand-up comedian, singer, songwriter, guitar player, electrical contractor, a husband, a father, and my best friend for the past 25 years. In today's episode, we welcome a special guest, Rowan Weathers. Rowan is a stand-up comedian, an improv actor and teacher, and a future electrical engineer, as well as singer, songwriter, guitar player, and percussionist. Today, we asked Rowan about how they got started in improv and comedy, as well as what it's like to study electrical engineering, as well as host their new monthly comedy show, Wampus Weathers Wednesdays. Rowan also tells us about some of the challenges that they and others face here in the improv scene in Oklahoma City, and why it's important that we try and cultivate a safe space for people to study and practice these forms of artistic expression. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and podcast feeds to keep up with new episodes that drop every Friday. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and our conversation with Rowan, as we greatly appreciate your time and attention.
In 5, 4, 3.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Rhythm and Wit. My name is David Steele, and with me, as always, is
Nick Campbell.
And Rowan Weathers.
our special guest. Welcome, Rowan.
All right.
We're all here together. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This is really fun. Really wanted to talk to you. I had the idea to bring you on I've been watching you, obviously. I've seen you perform a lot, and you do a ton of creative stuff, so you're the perfect guest for our show. The vast,
absolutely.
Things that you're into. So definitely for that reason, but specifically because I'm planning to release this on Valentine's Day a little bit early. I wanted to have you on because I know that I've seen your presentations on Valentine's Day at the Factory Obscura show, so I was like, I don't know, it just seems like a good fit to have you on and we can talk about what you do, but thanks for coming. Nick, do you want to start us with any specific questions?
Well, I am going to just say I'm highly impressed with you. Yeah. You do pretty much everything. I love how you're self-proclaimed jackass of all trades.
Yeah.
Big fan of that.
Yeah.
You're also studying to be an electrical engineer, correct? And I'm an electrician. Which is kind of hard because I hate electrical engineers. But I love you.
So it'll,
all the other art makes up. But anyway,
please let me shadow some days, so I cannot.
Well, I need help on Tuesday.
So that I cannot build shit that is not actually usable. You know, I would.
You want to get into the nitty gritty.
I would love to not be part of the problem.
Like, just as long as you don't put a plug where a window goes, we're good. They'll do that a lot and be like, "State of the Prince," and you're like, "I don't even know how this magic works." Yeah. So. Like, wireless 120 doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But so what is the major difference between, I mean, electrical engineer, I don't know, what is that? Can you explain exactly for, like, I mean, I don't know. Engineer is a weird term for me. It's like, what? You make shit and, like, it's technical. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, you know,
so,
what is
I mean, it's a very open definition. Like, it's... Like, what you can do as an electrical engineer is you could be designing how the electricity in a home needs to look. You could also be figuring out how the battery pack on a drone is going to get the most efficient power source.
Yeah. So it's kind of a studying of that.
Your entire job could be, like, how to make sure this antenna receives signals the most accurately.
It's kind of vast.
Like,
so it's about efficiency, kind of, and, like, figuring out, like, how to make things.
Essentially, your job is like a company wants a thing to happen, and you have to tell them how possible that is.
But then, as an electrician, Nick is more of like
so when it goes into the practical application,
more actual.
That's when
building
the hate begins.
Yeah.
But no, I really so in my situation, if you're doing a building or like I did a high rise, or I did like basically the bottom part of a high rise.
Yeah.
They decide how far wires can go before they stop working as accurately, and then so you have to upsize the wire, and so they do all the calculations. They put a stamp on it, and then they become liable, and then we just build it. That's it. And then we ask questions, which is like, hey, why is this plug in this window?
It's kind of like
no, I hear like horror stories about that all the time, and then like I never worked in electrical, but I did work in pest control, and like would frequently be like asked to deliver chemical in a way that like did not make any sense to me and just didn't seem very practical, and I was like, okay, so like the people who make this are not the people who like see what the problem is. Like those are completely different.
That's true. I mean, obviously there's some just miscommunication because it's like a piece of paper, you know? You're like, this is all my thoughts on a page, which you're really great at, so it sounds like it's gonna work.
Something else is like I mean, it makes sense. I didn't know. I like that Nick always does all the research. It's like, I look through it, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I didn't know about that. You know, but it's about, it makes sense that you're going into that because I know that you love data, right? Like just as a concept, as I've seen your presentations over the past year for sure, when I started seeing you at Fairweather. And I love that because it's so different, that kind of visual presentation type comedy, and like, you know, it's very fun.
We need like at least one type A person in the scene, and you know, I was happy to break the ground.
But, well, that's what I love about your art is very you. Every way you express yourself and every medium is in your drawing. I really like your drawings. I really like your self drawings. You're very unapologetic. You accentuate these things, and you're very proud of yourself. It feels like you know, and I keep up with you just because you're a very interesting person. You build cool stuff. But and I see that, and I during the research of this, it only got. I was like, oh my god, there's so much more stuff I could be looking at.
It's like why we want to have you. I mean, that's why I like having people here, because it's like I want to try to showcase more of what people do. You know, like not just the stuff. I mean, people see you, I'm sure, performing and doing stand up, but it's like, what about the music? What about everything else?
So. I mean, like, I feel, I moved to Norman after like breaking off an engagement and was like figuring out my sexuality and figuring out.
You were engaged?
I was. Whoa. Yeah, no.
In the before times.
I was engaged to, a nice fireman. He just wanted to like live in Wayne and have Wayne babies, and I wanted to move to the city and like, I guess like have a young 20s life. And so I mean, we liked each other a lot. He wasn't bad or anything like that, but I was like, hey, like let's not get married. I have a feeling we're going to hate each other because these are big compromises for asking either person to make.
And you guys were young.
I was 23.
Yeah, I mean, so
the kind of foresight you had, that is crazy.
That's good.
I got married.
Hey, it was.
We were perfect.
Much later.
Yeah.
A little bit later, I guess.
I knew the night I met her.
Yeah.
So it was.
Yeah. No, and like, I guess like, I don't know. It's weird because like I feel like I was running on autopilot for like such a long time, and then like when he proposed, I was like, oh, I'm going to get old.
Yeah, you're like, wait. Like, it makes you stop and think.
And I had to think about like what I want old to look like.
Yeah. Where do you really want to be in the next 10, 15, 20 years?
Yeah.
At least,
Yeah. So,
so
honestly, if he hadn't proposed, I might still be with him today.
Right.
Like,
oh, wow.
You might have never had that realization.
Yeah.
So where is it? You were from Wayne? Is that Wayne, Oklahoma? Is that?
Oh, no. I grew up Southside OKC.
What's up, Southside?
Yeah. Southside?
Okay, sorry.
No.
Never mind.
No. But I moved in with him and then was living in Wayne for a while. And, and then after that, I moved to Norman, and then now I'm in the Plaza. So
Plaza's nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
That's good. Yeah. So when did you start doing comedy? I guess that's just the question we can jump into. When was that? How long have you been doing comedy?
The first time I tried it was in like fall 2021.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Not too long, but I mean it's about a couple of years almost.
I tried it at Othello's, and I guess I was like the kind of person who was like told I should do it.
Yeah.
And then was just like, okay, fine.
Try
when this guy kept annoying me about it. And he should not be named. So then I tried it once, and like I guess I was a story, and like the crowd was having a good time, and like I guess I did the job, but I didn't feel very good. I didn't like what I did.
Yeah.
So
I
stopped and didn't do comedy again until I made the first dating rap.
I did 8 musicians, 3 writers, 2 meter guys, 1 comedian, 0 improv dudes. Paddle back with 0 improv dudes. I will go ahead and award writers in the category Ghost Dramatic.
Well, I didn't do stand-up comedy again.
Right.
I started doing improv January 2022.
Cool. So
at the urging of a different guy. Every time I've been shoved on a stage to be funny is because some guy would not leave me alone until I was finally doing it. So,
I mean, I think that's good for people especially for relationships too, because I feel like that's one of my big things with relationships. Is I learn so much every time I have any kind of relationship, honestly, with even friends. But I mean, particularly romantic relationships, it's like you learn a lot about yourself, one way or the other.
Well, it's like I was like, I guess I must be funny. If like,
we've seen that a lot too. I mean, I think because when we ask comics a lot here, it's a lot of times like, somebody was telling me that you should try it or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they can see it in you. I think that people maybe see that in other people before they see it in themselves sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it's not like I'm going home at the end of the day.
Right.
Like, how many
so funny.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I try to think of it like this: like I'm around me all the time.
Yeah.
and people are always laughing around me.
Yeah.
So I never notice it. I was like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So then, so then Dave goes, "Hey man, you should go do comedy." I'm like, "You're dumb."
No.
But Nick's, you always love to make people laugh.
Yeah.
That's been, like, I think, your driving force in your life.
That's how I got out of trouble as a kid.
I mean, it's just like and I think that's maybe different for other people, but for certainly, or why we want to perform. I think that's because I don't give a shit about making people laugh. I mean, I think it's fun, obviously, in conversation. I like to have fun. I like to joke around, but it's like I don't know that I would want to really be a comedian. I always tell people I'll try it one day. I think I can't help but not being as close to as I am to it, but I don't want to be a comedian. I'm a musician. I want to play music on stage for people. That's my real passion. So, and that's why it's like with Nick, it's like it's hard for him to do music and comedy. You have to pick one.
Well, I mean, it's like I still collect song lyrics and stuff whenever I'm writing.
You can't stop, but it's hard to pursue it as hard as you want if you want to do it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, I mean, I know it's not the same for everybody, but like different art comes out of me differently.
Yeah, that's cool.
How do you pick? How do you, you do like 10 things.
Right.
Yeah. So like drawing was my first big thing. Like
when you're young.
I grew up like wanting to be an artist. Like I was like on DeviantArt, like
oh cool,
filling up every page with stuff and all that. And then like that was pretty much the only thing I did until I was like, and then I was in marching band and did percussion, and then I'm like 21 living in Norman trying to 24 living in Norman trying to figure out what's going on, and some crust punks I was hanging out with were like, well, you did percussion in high school, so you could probably figure out the drum set. And I was like, that's not how that works, but I will go ahead and figure out the drum set.
You told me you're a drummer in your first band. Which is cool. I didn't know that. I've seen you play guitar as part of your performance occasionally, but and I knew you're a musician. I'll definitely check out more of your music online.
Just to read me a poem in the car, you sang to me. How can you be so good?
But it's like you had that natural rhythm, because I think being a drummer, not anybody can do it for sure. It's like I'm not even. It was so hard for me. I mean, I can play drums. I'm not good. I don't like it enough. I always say this to get good at it. But I can play a rock drum beat. It's not, but it took it was like a weird barrier that you have to cross over whenever to make your body move in that way. It's a weird thing.
I didn't realize like.
So some people have it naturally, I think.
Well,
a little bit.
The moving different parts was definitely like a learning hurdle. I didn't realize how rare it was to like think metronomically.
Just like because I think my brain works like that too. In a way, for the rhythm.
It wasn't until I was like in bands that I was like, oh, this is not like a given. Like
I think about that all the time because I'm constantly counting. I'll probably all the time, 24/7.
My dreams have tempo.
In a weird way. Like, but I don't actually like count. But it's like my brain is counting in a certain rhythm. Like, and so it's like when I'm playing music, it's very easy for me to fall into any rhythm that I want, and don't even think twice about it having to do it. But some people definitely do.
Do you have music in your dreams? Is that what you just?
Not necessarily music, but I do have tempo. Like things are happening at a certain pace, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, I have this. Something that's really annoying is like, if I have like a panic attack while I'm sleeping, the tempo gets faster, and I start freaking out about rushing because my band director would scold me about rushing.
Oh yeah, when you're playing.
While I'm having a panic attack.
That's
and the dream is getting faster and faster. I'm like, this is the most annoying.
I'd rather have a dream of falling. That's crazy.
I'm like, can my teeth fall out, or can I be like naked at school?
Something easy.
Regular shit.
This is a lot going on.
Yeah. I was about to say, when I'm coming out of sleep, I'll usually get like I'll have something going, like I'll hear a melody or something, songs, or
and then you're like, damn, I gotta get your guitar immediately.
That's why you sleep right next to it. You pick it up.
Yeah.
I've done it where I've had my voice
It's
memo in there. It's like, this is nothing. I'm never gonna use it.
And you listen back later, you're like, what are you like, mom? It's garbled.
I tried so hard.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's cool. So yeah, you played drums, and then how long have you played guitar for? Is that something
Guitar.
you got into?
Yeah, guitar I picked up because like when I was in the band I had song ideas, but I didn't have like a way.
Yeah, you wanted to.
I don't want to be that asshole that's like, it sounds like this.
Yeah, exactly. You had to find a way to express that musically.
So I was like, they say easy to learn, hard to master.
Yeah.
How hard could it be?
Right.
And it's exactly that.
Right.
So,
I played bass for like almost 20 years, and like I can't play guitar. Like I can't play chords.
Really?
I never learned.
Yeah.
I could explain to you what a chord is. Like I could tell you. It's like I know, and I could find them on. I could even find it on a guitar, but I don't know the fingerings and all that shit.
Yeah.
I can't even play with a pick, actually.
No, it's.
Yeah, I mean, even on bass, I don't play with a pick, so I just never learned that motion.
I never picked it.
So I don't know, but I feel you there. I've tried to learn guitar, and it's like, no, this is hard. I go back to bass.
I mean, like with all percussion, like I learned it very academically. Like
you started
with sheet music and like all that. And so with guitar, it's completely different. Like I have an entirely like organic relationship. I don't really know what chords I'm playing. I'm just hitting things that
cool,
sound
though.
Nice, and
I think that's how I started for sure. I mean, I think that's how most of us start. Anyway, you just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it works.
Yeah.
Once you kind of learn a rule set, you can follow and learn some scales, and you're like, okay, this works with this, no matter what you do, really, as long as you fall into a certain.
I think that was January 2022. Was
so
guitar.
Pretty recent, but I mean, you found a way in to already use it to perform, even though it's like, because I've seen you write some songs, obviously, and perform on stage, so that's pretty fast.
No, the first time I did that thing where you like play so hard your thumb bleeds, that happened at the sketch comedy show. And I'm like,
wow.
That's so funny. Like usually it's supposed to be something that's like really hard.
Punk show.
Yeah, and I was like, I did it for a bit, like sprayed blood on the audience.
They were like, so
splash zone.
What was it? Oh, I was gonna say, because you brought up improv, and so I'm going to ask you, Nick, do you have some more specific questions about that?
About the improv?
Yeah, like.
Well, I would love. I think I contacted you one day, and you were setting up.
Yeah,
lessons.
That's what I think I'd seen that on your Instagram.
Yeah.
That's what it was, and I told him, because I was like, we should look into that, because it'd be a skill that you could practice and incorporate. That's
so I would definitely like to continue that at some point, but just like the first few times, like there's just no turnout. So
somebody showed up. You're like, oh, this sucks.
And then like I could tell I was like extra butthurt about it because like with school. Yeah. My free time is so rare to have set it out,
dedicating this
and then
time.
I was like, these are precious gems. Like,
right.
As a host,
especially because you're trying to do something for people.
Yeah. So I was like, this hurt my feelings too much. Like, I need to do this when I have like so much free time that it's not such a big sacrifice.
You could try, you could, and you gotta figure out more how to get it going.
And so I've sort of set it in my post-engineering school.
Especially if it's something that you're really passionate about and you want to make it work, you want to dedicate the time.
Especially because like our current scene like does not really set people up, like isn't incredibly accessible. And also like it doesn't create like a safe space for people to really explore that art form.
Which that's something. I learn I watch a lot of podcasts and stuff about creativity. I was telling you earlier, it's like I love just creativity in general, but there's something about like play, especially as kids, right? The best thing for kids is to have a safe area where they feel safe, where they can explore ideas and being creative and exploring the world. And we need that all our lives. You know, if you want to stretch out and see what you're capable of, you don't, you know, if you put these, you know, expectations or, you know, these things on people, it's like that doesn't work for creativity.
Well, and it's just, it's so intensely like, vulnerable.
Right,
like,
yeah.
I mean, I think my experience in improv, like, while it had its, like, issues, it, like, something it did really solidify is, like, the things that naturally come out of my mouth or that occurred to me in the moment to say were things that the audience found, like, funny or heartwarming or entertaining on a regular basis. And it kind of just made me realize, like, people like seeing people, and chances are the funniest or the best things that you've done in your life are things that you didn't prep ahead of time. Like, chances, especially the funniest thing.
It's like it comes from you, and deep down, it's like a subconscious level, right?
The hardest you've ever made someone laugh is probably something you did on accident.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't even meaning to do.
It's like you're thinking of something else entirely or something in a different word, and then something else comes out.
So it really made me, like, I was always okay with being on the stage, but improv really taught me to
trust yourself and not overthink things.
Like, I didn't feel like I had to hide parts of myself in order to excel. In fact, I felt like, oh, the more of myself that I reveal, the better this will be, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So did you have that comfortability before improv, or
that's where you learned it?
Yeah, was that where you learned it?
I would say that's where I learned it. Like, before, like, when I thought about doing comedy, my approach was always like, oh, I'll tell stories about my life because I've lived a very unique life, and, like, making those sad stories funny is what is going to, like, be interesting about me. But I guess, like, you know, this is also, like, I've been in therapy for, like, 8 years. Like,
that's
but it's also, like,
it's important for everyone.
Yeah, it's like, what is, like, my suffering is not the most interesting thing about me. It's not the most interesting thing about anybody. Like, I think for a long time I felt like all the bad things that happened to me, like, had to mean something, so that meant that they had to be, like, the reason that I was, like, kind, or the reason that I was funny, or the reason that, you know, I was, like, good at art, or things like that. But it wasn't, like, that was never the root of it. It was just, like, it was what I did in spite of the suffering.
Right, that's what I was going to say. It's like, I think the most interesting thing is what you do to mitigate the suffering in your life. It's like, what do you do to get, you know, over those things? Which I think that's something with comedy. I think that I've definitely heard people say this on stage, or heard from other comedians. It's like, that's the cheapest form of therapy. I mean, it's free to just get up in front of people and talk about your problems. I mean, that's the core of what some of it is. Anyway.
I see that. I'm like, why I ought to, like,
you know,
go to the doctor.
But if you can make it entertaining, then it works. I mean, right? Like, if you make it funny, but it's like, obviously people that are just depressing in front of you, it's like, no, get out of here.
Well, it's also like, why does the audience have to fix you? Like, why are you making it, like, the general public's responsibility to make you feel better about how your dad sucks? Like, you know, like, oh, haha, we're all laughing. Did you go home? Like, do you feel better? You know?
No, but I think that it is something. I think it's the self-expression of those problems and identifying. Because I think of art as, like, at its core, like, we express something out from our experience. Present it to the world, someone else sees that and identifies with it and something in their life, and then they can connect and maybe feel better about their situation or whatever too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that, but it's like I said, I mean, obviously I agree with that. Don't just, actually use it for, but I think, but all art is therapy of getting stuff out that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
In a way. So
who else is gonna know that my kid beats me up? I mean,
you gotta talk to somebody about
it. So I'm not gonna hide it. I'm gonna tell strangers. That's gonna be the best way to deal with that.
So, yeah.
I think, but I think it's something that we all kind of do, and I think we all should do is we all need some kind of outlet.
Yeah. Well, I was curious about because I was there for a little while. I was thinking about doing improv just because I was like, man, I got to get more comfortable. And but I kind of found a groove where I like made a reconnection to back when we used to do music, and I was like, I'll just do that.
Yeah.
Do what I used to do, and
fall
then
back into a more comfortable
and
space.
it worked,
Yeah.
but
it's still an interesting skill, I think, to get it. Because I think
for sure,
I'm interested in it for myself, not even to do anything, but just to be, I think, more, like you said, more comfortable in the moment, which I'm getting more and more. I feel like, especially doing this stuff and like talking to people weekly, it's just forcing me to be better. It's part of that, but I think I could learn a ton from learning improv and taking some lessons from you or whatever too, because that'd be fun.
I have like I don't really know much about, literally never had much. I went to one improv show. There's a friend of mine,
like experience
Melvin, he was doing it up there. We used to go to school with him a long time ago.
I think I know.
And anyways, I went and I was like, wow, this is like super fun. This looks like an interesting thing. And so but I just said I don't have the time, but my question is, you say there's no safe spaces. Do you mean like there's no place to just do it?
Oh yeah, it's hard to get into for sure.
I guess like my experience in our current space had issues of like sexual harassment and then sexual assault to other members, not to me. And then the first time we tried to file a report, it was ignored. And so then we made a written report. And then they saw that, and we were like, "This guy's bad news. We think he should be not banned permanently, but banned for 3 months, because then like he's been gone, he's had time to think about it, and then he comes back. And then we think he should not be teaching for at least a year. And that's what we asked for. Considering what the accusations and proofs were, we could have asked for a lot more. I mean, the police could have been contacted with what we had. And so they were like, okay, that's great and all, but we're just going to ban him for a month. So it meant that he was only gone for a month.
Yeah, it's like not really that long.
And they also like didn't say anything about it. So then like I was taking a break from collecting all that data because I led that effort.
And which that's like, important for that stuff. I think any type of like if you're gonna have the accusation to get a lot of factual information.
I was running like sexual trauma Watergate, and so like I was so invested. Mentally like messed up from learning all that. Like it's one thing to have something happen to you, but then to have it reconfirmed by like victim after victim after victim after victim.
You're like
and realize you're just part of a big pattern of what this person is all about. I was like, oh my god. And so they only banned him from a month, and then he got to control the narrative, and a bunch of board members like publicly sided with him, a bunch of staff members publicly sided with him. So and like for them to have done that and to like advertise themselves as the safe way to do comedy in the city, like they actively talk shit about stand-up all the time.
Hypocrisy.
And they have like a bunch of pride flags on their windows and stuff, and I'm like, okay, well the majority of his victims were like bisexual or non-binary people, and you're gonna act like as if you're a safe space. Like I tell anybody who does improv now to like do not go to the bars. Do not go to anybody's house.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a young woman or non-binary, but like just in general, because men have been sexually harassed and harmed there too. Like, don't just learn and go home. Do not.
Oh yeah. Afterwards.
It is scary stuff.
Because that is it's something with like creativity. I think with doing acting, I feel like, which is like improv too. I feel like that's a lot of. You have to go to people's houses and to like, you know, practice and work on routines and your skits and things like that. It's a lot of like band practice. I mean, in a way, right? Like, whereas like a lot of comedy, stand up, it's not. They don't have that kind of
and it's so
relationship with each other.
Vulnerable because like that person can make a decision about what you are on stage right there. Like one of his favorite things to do was to make girls like his girlfriend or like
just turn it
to be into like a situation that would serve those feelings for him and so he's making that decision live. What are you supposed to do? Be like, actually no, I'm not your girlfriend.
It's a part of
you gotta yes and
you don't want to like be combative because the whole thing is yes and right. It's supposed to be like
so
you're supposed to bounce back and forth, but whenever people use it for their own, like you said, that's a terrible thing to hear that people even do. I mean, I didn't know about that.
So like at least in comedy, like in stand-up, you can like
it's more
if you perform alongside, you know, it's not like I'm sitting like locked on.
You're not working with the person, other people as closely because it's very. But that's what I think one of the huge difference between music. I mean, playing in a band and doing comedy. That I always look at is. It's the individualized sport or the group sport type of thing with the two, but it is a group sport when it comes to improv and skit comedy and stuff like that. So.
And like at least with stand up, like someone's gonna hand me $20 at the end of the
day.
Like at that theater, like. I get harmed and $0.
Yeah, and you don't even get $20.
Sometimes I paid you to harm me.
Exactly.
Like,
oh my god. So is that what you're trying to create? You're trying to create a safer, better place for.
I mean, there's
is that what the Wampus?
Oh, the Wampus Weathers Wednesdays does have like a lot of improv elements. Like so comedians do their like 10-minute set, but then we do like a mock interview where we treat them as though they're real celebrities. With, like,
I love that.
Fake controversy and stuff. So it's kind of fun because, you know, it puts comedians on the spot. And I mean, we've obviously like only tried it once, but I think one of my favorite things is like the audience seemed to really connect with the comedian because, like, you know, they did something that, you know, the comedians sell themselves however they want to sell themselves, but then they become like a real like a vulnerable, maybe in like a person the audience wants to defend because like Wampus and I are kind of the bad guys.
Yeah, you're the antagonists in this situation.
Making up fake controversies. Like we asked like so Ray and I are actually good friends, Ray Burrs, and so we both have like mom stuff, and so I asked her on stage, like, you bring up your mom a lot in your sets. When do you think you're going to get over that? And so, like, but then the audience
kind of like poke. It's kind of like a roast, a little
bit. But then the audience is like, oh, like they give you a hard time, and you pulled through. Like they're rooting for them. And then at the end, we have like a bunch of ideas for different rotating games. So the last one we did a 5-7 fight, which is like a haiku roast battle.
Ray's a lesbian. I can tell by the dress pants. I have the same ones.
Hey, not knocking your flair. In a past life, you could be a dyke with that hair.
That sounds so much fun. Haiku roast battle.
I mean, it's really fun because like nobody's going to be really good at that.
Right.
Like nobody's going to like wipe the floor. Or if someone, I mean, here's the thing that's great. If people are bad, it's funny. Like, if people write something that doesn't work, it's funny.
It works. I mean, it's still entertaining.
If people write something that is actually really good, it's so impressive that the entire audience is like, oh, you actually did that.
I mean, it's like a rap battle roast.
Yeah,
I mean, that's, it's very impressive whenever it's done, and you're like, oh shit, that was awesome,
Yeah. Caleb Collins had, Caleb Collins was a good example of, like, if you don't have anything, it's really funny. Like, I don't remember exactly how it went, but he said he doesn't know Ray, so he was just like, his IQ basically just said, Ray, I do not know you, and now I do not want to.
That's so good.
Caleb is one of my favorite people.
Yeah. And he's such a sweetheart. Like, that's the meanest thing.
But it's still mean in its own way because he doesn't get that mean. So it's nice to see. Yeah.
So this is a new thing you're gonna do monthly. The Wampus
Weathers
Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And so where
alliteration. Love
where
that.
was it at?
Legally brewed
In Norman, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna continue to do that there every month?
Yeah, every first Wednesday.
Nice. So I'm definitely. I just hate my job sometimes. There's I miss so much stuff that you do during the week. It's tough to get out there, but I'll definitely come check it out when I can, because especially if it's monthly, I won't.
How was the dinner theater show?
That's a thing that I missed last week because of.
That was a lot of fun. So we were kind of hustling because I think most of us were invited to the show maybe a month before it happened. So, excuse me.
So you didn't? Is that not enough time to get ready for that? Generally, is that the problem?
Yeah, for a sketch show, what I generally say is you write. I would say 3 or 4 months ahead of time, because you write the sketches the first month. And then you act out, and then usually the first time you act out the sketches, when you see it, usually there's things you want to change. Or ideas that people have.
Make it better, because some things may not work at all that you thought would, and so you rewrite or something.
And so then you get to fix it, and then I would use the last 2 months just for really nailing all the timing and beats of that. So I mean, it was really tight, and I guess that was the show I was the most man, I don't know how this is gonna go. But we'll play hard. I'll leave everything on the field, and then I'll go home.
Just see what happens. And
then we went, and it was the most expectations whiplash I've ever had. We killed it.
Perfect.
I was just oh, okay, I was really worried that we're a group of talented and funny people, and these sketches I've read are good sketches, but I just worry because of the time crunch that we're gonna look like a bunch of dipshits, even though we aren't dipshits, and then we didn't look like dipshits.
Perfect.
And I was well, I underestimated all of us, including myself. So.
But you just know too that next time you'll definitely, if you did have the time, it'll be even better. I mean, and you can do it under that crunch. But I like that, knowing that. So I hope that they do more of those. Like I said, I was mad. I do really regret. I don't have many regrets. I try not to have any regrets. I honestly regret not going to that, especially because it's nobody. Because the people were saying oh, you didn't get any photos, and I was I don't know. I was I know that they're not trying to dig at me. Not coming. But I was fuck, because I wasn't there. That's why there's no photos.
I saw someone taking pictures. So
okay, so there are photos exist. Okay,
and I know one of the, at least the scenes had some videos, because I remember I had one sketch where I was an ex-boyfriend leaving a voicemail, but the voicemail was a song. And I'm basically singing about how I want my girlfriend back. But the reason she doesn't want me back is because I have a vigilante persona as a sewage man, where I take trash and poop my pants, and and I just sing about being the sewage man and wanting to be loved. And I'm playing that song so hard, and I'm like, I'm doing my like guttural scream thing that I do, and like really going deep, and then like at the end of the show, at the end of that sketch, like I run off because I gotta change and immediately be someone else,
right?
And I look down and my guitar is covered in my blood.
So that was
and I was like, well, it's kind of in character. Like, he wouldn't play that hard to get Linda back.
So did people notice that, I assume, like, while it was happening in the audience?
I don't think many people noticed. I went around being like, oh my god, like, sorry, I didn't mean to make that, like, hardcore.
Right.
And Alex was the only one who... Alex was the only one I think that noticed.
Right.
Alex Sanchez.
Yeah,
but he was
So
like, there was no light in your eyes.
But
like your eyes were black while you were singing that song.
The intensity came through regardless.
Yeah,
so, that's cool.
Just love shows up a lot in your art.
Yeah.
And so maybe that was something you need to get out.
There was a deep feeling in there that it was.
Why won't you love me, Linda?
Sorry.
That. Well, how's so? I mean, you write and do a lot. What's your process? How do you getting in down? Do you capture things as they come? Do you make a choice about it?
Is there different? Do you have different writing processes for different skits and comedy and things?
Yeah. Like I would even say like my stand-ups have had different writing processes each time, and I'm kind of like stumbling my way into what I think I'm going to like. I guess.
Which one? Yeah, because you're trying to figure out even how to get these thoughts and feelings out into a way, and so you're still learning that process, the best way to do things.
And I guess like I'm like taking notes of what I feel like are natural parts of myself, and like that's what's going to be the best things for me to sell the hardest. And so like something I noticed early on is like I tend to take things more seriously and be like more faithful to the rules of things than other people.
So you
like
kind of lean into that.
So like doing a presentation and like taking the breedability of Mario characters.
By what metric are we measuring breedability? Yeah. I'm so glad you asked. First up, we have sex appeal. Would you fuck her? Second up, we have submissiveness. Would they be a good boy or a good girl or good someone who considered the name Kai? And then come and take. I think we're all about that.
It's like
so good.
to an academic level of like this is why they would be breeded. Like there is proof of coupling.
But you kind of take it to that extreme to where it's like, that's awesome.
That's like there's couplings. So there has to be something going on.
Yeah. There's some form of conception happening.
Well, that's a whole
So
with that movie too, it's they're going to have to come to those answers. We'll get the answers hopefully.
Jack Black.
Please just hear me out. I have been masturbating to Bowser since I was 8 years old. He has a mohawk. He's fat. He wears those slutty little pump bracelets. Okay. He has a rack. Like, man's okay. And also has definitely been bred before because there are couplings. So there's proof of breeding. What I think we are maybe getting lost on here is his lack of submissiveness, because this is a service talk by others.
I'm on my knees. With sketch writing, it's kind of like, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably more structured than most, or maybe could be than.
With sketch writing, I feel like I'm playing pretend with someone else.
Yeah.
But it's
is that more of like you don't write anything beforehand? You just kind of go into a situation, or while you're rehearsing and kind of talk things out?
With sketch writing, I'm
Yeah.
usually like opening a Google Doc and like basically I write out like a lot of funny things that could happen and then trim it down to like 3 clean arcs, because that is something that improv teaches you, like the structure
Story
and the
structure,
rhythm of, like, if you can give your joke or your scene a rhythm, then the audience will laugh before they even like know what they're laughing at. It's like
a cue to laugh.
You know, like Rodney Dangerfield, and like he has such a consistent rhythm that people are laughing before they even like know what he said. And then he has such a consistent like no respect means you laugh some more while I say the next thing.
Yeah.
Like it's his period. And so like if you know, with sketch writing, I'm able to set that up very intentionally because it's like
you're in control of everything that's going to happen.
Yeah. With my stand up, it's like a bit different because I want to like embrace the fact that I like have ADHD and tend to like really ramble and like make like A to F connections instead of like A to B connections.
Like jumping ahead or you know, faster than the audience and keep up or something.
But at the same time it's like I don't want to be like I don't want to be so off rhythm that it's like not interpretable. I think so
you push it too far and then people don't get it or they don't understand what you're trying to do.
I think it being on a notepad is helpful because like it's already established that I am like not a normal and relatable person. Like
you lean into that because I think that we talk about that a lot. It's like as soon as you announce what everyone is already thinking or you know like some of that stuff, it's like, well, this is here, so it's like more of a visual kind of upfront presentation of who you are and what you're gonna do.
Like in the Astrology for Men set, I like first actually do talk about astrology for men. Then I talk about the things that I think should get cis men pregnant, and then I also use like Bluey's dad band as a segue.
Like,
and
where
like
did that come from? Just
Australian, like how this Australian interpretation of a father has been like upheld in patriarchal society, and like, and then what did I even finish with?
That one I think I'd seen you do that at least once or twice. I've seen you do it at the mic. Was that the one you did at the date night, the first date night in El Reno? That one was.
And that's the set I think currently is the most close to like what I'd like to do. Like I feel like that like embraced the most of like
overall
I did a dumb math thing. It was a presentation. I took something way too seriously. But also like let myself bounce around between 3 different things and
have a variety and not just one topic, you know, and in kind of a way.
And the audience found it really funny. Like the audience was like, I don't know why they're talking about getting cis men pregnant, but I am, you know, here for the ride. So with stand-up, I guess I stumbled into that formula. Usually I like basically have a concept that I find like that I just think I could talk a lot about because
you know about or whatever too.
So you know a lot about Mario Kart?
So much. But and then I usually like in a notes app craft, and I try to do like 1 slide per minute is sort of my goal. And then I like draw out all the slides on Procreate, and then you usually like rearrange them or like figure out what would be the most visually interesting thing per
and kind
slide.
of the flow of it,
And then I actually build the thing, and I just like run it and run it and run it and add jokes and add jokes and add jokes until it's stuffed.
Do you rehearse it by yourself?
Yeah,
or,
I'm alone in my bedroom, like
With the pad?
yeah, with the pad.
Yeah, doing
My-
everything that you're gonna do on stage.
Yeah.
To run through.
My roommate and his partner are like,
Yeah.
this is a nightmare. If they talk about cum one more time, I'm gonna kill myself. Like,
It's not even like it's just the same thing. The same thing about cum.
That's something that's interesting.
how many different sentence structures are they gonna try? Like,
Yeah, slightly different. That
Is
was
your,
like,
is your house just wall to wall notepad, giant notepad?
so I
Yeah.
get those pants hangers.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
And I hang them in my
okay,
closet.
yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I just assume you're like kind of like an old like magician, like wizard.
yeah, they have
and
like
they're just
the-
like, here's my
you know how
tongue.
they have like the big map
Yeah.
containers.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
giant.
It's like, what am I going to interest these people
Yeah.
with today? Like,
You're like pulling out.
it's like clothes. But the one I saw, I mean, I saw you a few times at Rad Bar. Or I saw you at Rad, and it was like, oh, I love that.
Oh, the
With that.
trans set?
Yes,
Yeah.
And you talk about like I think this is the same one where you talk about like the clit or whatever. It's like very educational. It's like, this is
Yeah.
what it actually is, guys. There's not
Yeah.
just one thing here.
Breaking
But
it
I was
down.
like, oh,
Yeah.
man, fantastic.
Encore!
Anyways, I want to let you know Liz said thanks.
Do the G-spot!
I think people high-fived after. It was like, dude, and it was such a killer. I mean, you had everybody's attention.
Yeah.
It was, and
Which
then so I was
hard
like, I
to
gotta
do.
get that at
Rad
Lively.
bars.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's whenever you guys work together there.
Yeah. No, the trans set is definitely like the tightest I've ever had something like. That's my goal. Of, like, I look at how many jokes I shoved into that.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, I gotta like.
But it takes
Yeah.
a
So how
lot
long
of
did
time.
that take? Yeah, how
I was
long did
gonna
it take
say.
to put that together? Like, start to be.
I mean, that was my first like time getting
So-
booked. And I got
okay.
basically like I started doing comedy in January that year for real.
Right.
And
Like
and
consistently too, for sure.
yeah. And then, you know, I went from like I guess because I was like non-binary, I basically like went from like being brand new, open mic only, to getting like 3 bookings in June.
Oh yeah,
And-
6 months of
Because
yeah.
I was just like, you know, I had a feeling I was probably going to get booked at least once during Pride Month.
Yeah,
but then
right.
it was- but then I was like, okay, so I am one of the few
Right.
queers that these people know.
Which is important.
High caliber.
I mean,
high caliber.
like
By far.
it's better than having none. I mean,
Yeah.
way,
That's true.
it's like we need more. Obviously, it's like, and there are a few at least. I've seen some non-binary, but transgender comics, and because I know Point A does a lot of drag comedy
Yeah.
too. Which
Yeah.
you did a show with them.
Yeah.
Wasn't Liz at that? Didn't she go
Yeah.
out there?
Yeah, Liz
Yeah.
and Elwin.
Yeah, we were here. We were recording, I think, with Will Davis, and it's like I didn't know.
yeah.
We should have just went down the street.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I mean, we knew about it, but I don't know why we didn't go. We should have went.
I think I was supposed to go watch the kids.
Yeah, I mean, anyways.
When I came here, anyways.
But yeah, so that was a fun, and I love what they're doing. I always shout them out. We're gonna have a segment with them soon.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Which I was telling you about this earlier. That's when we're gonna go and interview them and talk to them about their space, because they're just doing so much cool stuff, and especially with the queer community. And this is like when I first really found out what they were doing, I was like, this is great. It's like, the gay district needs comedy too. Why can't like they have comedy
and they get
and art?
comedy. They just
it's-
get it in drag shows.
Right.
And that,
Yeah, which I've always been a huge fan. I love drag. And I think it's something I realized why I always loved going to drag shows. It's the performance. That's why I love. It's like the pure expression of performing, and it's so cool to see people do that. And that's like I loved going to Hilo. We went to Hilo every Friday for drag night. This is a fun time. So they do that with performing, and they're very funny. A lot of very funny drag queens.
There's one I forget his name is Eddie Hefner, but I forget
the drag name. That's like usually you remember that they have some really
I think
great
it's like
names.
I think they go by like Pulpy Fleshy.
Yeah.
And And oh my gosh, he does this great act where he like sings to these fucking trash ass indie, not even indie rock, like an even lamer flavor of indie rock.
Just like,
like
college rock. That's what.
Yeah, it's very clearly like I went to OCU, UCO, like, and they sing and they sing along to it with like a Muppet.
What's the song? You got a song that you know of?
Yeah,
Like Blast Doors and I cannot for the life. I could like
so
describe
was that on the show that you were at Point A? Were they on that show?
No, that was with Colleen McPherson, Nova. And Ray Burrs, yeah. And we had a good time. Ray and I were like, oh, there's actually gay people in the audience. Like, okay, we can.
I think it's so great that. Because I think, like I said, I think that you definitely see me meeting so many different there's different types of audience for every person, right? Or a different type of comedian for every audience. And so it's like they're just endless amount of opportunities, I think, for people to do comedy, no matter who you are. It's just finding the right and having the opportunity of a place like Point A for them to go and perform comedy and music and art and everything.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot. So is that you're starting to get into more producing shows, I guess, now. So is that something you want to do more of in the future? Or, I mean, you obviously have a monthly show now with Wampus, so, but...
I mean, I think the big appeal of, like, hosting a show was, frankly, like, I felt like it was something I would be able to more consistently do while going to school than performing.
Because, like we were saying, for you to do your performances, it takes months of work to put it together. And
at least the way, like, I want it.
To get it to where you can really... Unless you just do that, you can have once you have it, you can perform it. But you want to change it up every so often.
So I just feel like as a host, frankly, like your job is to be less funny than
like you don't want to stand out too much, right?
Yeah. So I felt like I would be my job would be to be like a passive player and to like do things to basically like. My main job would be like in these mock interviews and in these games to sort of like hand over passes.
You're just kind of presenting or you're just kind of setting things up for other people to be funny.
and that was like one of my natural skills in improv was like they call it like gift giving where you basically like just
set someone up kind of.
Yeah, you just like throw someone a bone like, oh, I hear you like you play the guitar while like Irish dancing and like and then some asshole has a reason to do that on stage. So like that was always something, I love lying and making up lies about people. Like
what are a couple of good ones? What's a good one for Dave?
Nick has on here that you identify as a public menace.
I think you're succeeding.
No, so like I bartend now, and last night like Jen Shamron and her boyfriend came to like chat with me, and I literally had like a people are sitting somewhat distant at the bar, like it's never packed, so I had like a different persona and character with like each bar patron.
Well, that's fun.
And was like sending off these two old ladies with like who were on a road trip, like with like part of my heart is with you, Suzanne. And she's like, you're going in my journal. And I was like, oh, you bet you are too. And I turned back and Jen and Johnny are like, you're a psychopath. You're a psychopath. The CIA would pay. Like, you are demented. And I'm like, I don't know why I can do this either. Like, I am just as scared as you.
I think you're practicing your craft.
Well, that's what I mean. I think. I mean, forgive me for bringing this up, but Johnny Depp. I know this about Johnny Depp from him as an early actor. Like that, he was a telemarketer. So like he would just make up characters every time.
Yeah.
And it was a different person. And that, I mean, he's a fucking brilliant actor. I mean, he's probably not a good person, but, but you know, it's like, I've always admired him for his craft as a performer.
Yeah.
But a lot of it comes from that. Just, there's something, Jim Carrey too, which I bring up a lot. He's one of my favorite people of all time. But there was something about, somebody was talking about him. Oh, because he's coming back to do Robotnik again.
Yeah.
He's coming out of retirement.
I love those movies.
He retired and now he's back again. But anyways, somebody was talking about on a podcast and they were saying like Jim Carrey has so many characters. Like I don't think there is a Jim Carrey actually.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's what he said. That's why he like bailed
like
after Man in the Moon.
Yeah, like stuff like that. Because I mean, I always think about that with him too. It's like he just became a different person, or not even a character, but it's a real person.
Yeah.
Which is wild. But
well, here's the thing: if you practice the habits of another person so much that you eventually lose who you were,
right? In a way,
you know?
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
yeah. Well, I think like as a kid and as a young adult, I very much like lived on like a what form of existence would be like the most pleasing and like the most serving to like the people I care about around me. And so like it's very like, if anything, it was unnatural of me to think about like what I would want and like what would be real about me, like
like who you really are.
What do you mean?
Yeah, like I distinctly remember like I'm graduating high school and like I have very good grades and like I'm good at math and science and so and I'm also really good at art, and I remember like kind of wanting to go to art school, but then I was like I guess like, so my brother has a disability and I was like raised with the expectation like that I'm going to be his guardian because I'm the eldest and like my parents are obviously not going to like live long enough.
Yeah, somebody he's you know he's in the position where he's always gonna need a caretaker.
Yeah. So like I just kind of like was raised with like my life is not about me. Like
which is interesting. I mean, it's probably kind of good in a way. I mean, I think that it's good to be not self-serving, but
Yeah, but it meant
more
like
people need to be like, but it
I mean, it meant that like when I was graduating school, I was like, well, like I'm not going to art school, or like I guess like the decisions that people usually make after they have like married someone and have decided to have kids are like decisions that I made when I was like 15. Like I was like, I should probably take like these AP courses because like this would be the degree that would be most beneficial to like
for your family
raising someone else, like and so like it wasn't until like obviously like that's a very like depressing existence and like
just
for
not
so I didn't like, and I didn't even know it because I was like raised like that, so I didn't know like
could just
when did you first recognize
when I first like recognized it was so like I had a therapist basically who was the first person to kind of say like, well, is that okay? Like, do you feel okay with that? Like, do you really think you like don't want anything else? And like, you get asked that enough and eventually you're like, well, I don't know, like I guess I should like try a couple of things. And so that's how I got like 17 different hobbies, was like
trying everything.
Basically, like I never let myself try.
Do you think they saw something in you where they're like that?
Yeah.
I don't think that.
That's like something that we talk a lot about. It's like you don't, like you said, you're growing up, like nobody really ever told you, or you didn't know you could do all these different things, so you didn't see it too. A lot of times you have to see something, or somebody has to tell you that you can do something before you believe that you can, or
kind of like the comedy thing where it's like, hey,
exactly, somebody told you.
So when you're finding out who you are really, you're getting the ability to kind of give yourself the chance to do it. And was this during when was this?
I would say like like May 2021 was probably like...
Like right before you started doing performing and stuff like
Yeah, I basically like... it was like a long series of events, but like I just got into like an argument with my mom, and it was the first time or the second time ever that I had ever argued with my mom. Like, I was an incredibly obedient child.
Right.
Like, my dad described me as obedient to a fault, because I was just like a robot that was there
you just
to like
follow the rules. I mean, I identify with that for most of my life. It's just like you just follow the rules, and most of the time I think maybe you learn if you follow the rules, you'll get what you want, or get at least for me growing up. So it's like I've always been strictly, and even honestly to today, whenever I get instructions I'm a graphic artist, so like I mean, I do exactly what it says, and like try not to deviate, especially because with that type of art, it's not my art. I mean, it's like, so I've been able to separate those two somehow. I don't know, but a lot of people do have struggle with that as a graphic artist. But but I do. It's like I work for other people, so it's like I just do. It's like I'm a very strict rule follower. Sorry, I went off on that, but it's interesting.
But
you don't meet
obedient to a fault.
You don't meet people like that.
So I just it was like, it was really like shocking, and like we weren't like talking for some time, and so it was just like my mom was like my compass for like, well, if I'm doing something that like makes her happy, then that is like the appropriate course of action. So it's like once that was no longer on the table, it was like, well, like shit, where's my compass?
Did you find it?
Way.
I would say like now I very much like have my own dreams, and like have my own like life to fight for,
kind of direction or something, or a direction that you want to go.
And like sure, I'm going to like experience hardship in getting that and all that, but I definitely like, I mean, it makes me understand like why people want to get married, or like why people want to retire, or frankly get old enough to retire. Like, it wasn't until I like had the ability to like envision a future that I actually wanted, that I was like, oh, this is why people like stick around. Like,
I like, what is, this is what there is to,
I'll stay on the psych ward, like, okay.
Well, I'm glad you did, because your art is very important, I think.
Like something you said earlier about you said you're very good at math and science and very good at art, and it's like those things don't often cross over, I feel like. Or maybe they do, but like, I don't know, I don't know. I mean, because I feel like I'm pretty good at math and science, but I'm, much better at art. But I would not say I'm good at math and science, even though it's like, I feel like I'm a little bit like that. Yeah,
I think, for me, those things use the same brain.
Maybe, it's like, maybe for other people they don't. You kind of figure out a way to connect them.
Because it's like, with anything you make, whether it's like a robot or a song or a stand-up set, the key to it being good is making something the first time, figuring out what's wrong with it, making it again, figuring out what's wrong with that, doing it again. I don't think I'm naturally good at really anything. Like, I think I have a good visual brain. Like, I can picture 3D space in my mind. So that is probably why, like, I have done art so much, is because, I'm constantly picturing things. And that, so, like, I guess I have that on me. But I think what made me good at art is that I was willing to do it over and over and over again. And same thing with music. And, all that. And stand-up,
maybe it's the understanding that if you do it over and over, it'll get better. Because I think people don't understand that. Or, even though everyone should, but it's like when you try to play guitar and you're like, why am I not getting better at this? It's because you just did it once. It's like you have to do it every day for a long time, and you'll get better.
And at school, they act like as if I'm some kind of like beautiful mind or something.
But it's just, you just work hard.
And I'm like, if you like took a time lapse of me at the engineering whiteboard, I have the same problem up at the top,
Yeah.
and I'm erasing my attempts over and over until I get it right. Like,
so it's an interesting.
Yeah.
That's
do you feel like you express yourself in art and you kind of put yourself in it? Do you feel like you can do that with electrical engineering too?
Yeah, expression, maybe like an artistic expression in that way.
How do you express yourself in there? How do you plan on expressing yourself in it?
I mean, like, you know, I'm kind of, I feel like it takes on a bit more of a political spin, I suppose, in engineering, because, you know, with engineering there's a big conversation about, like, you know, are you going to McAllister to create missiles?
Yeah.
Or
right.
Are you like going to the local government, or are you
what are you gonna
like
do
going
with
to
this?
space? Like what are you going to devote this mind you create through, you know, 4 to 8 years of labor? What are you going to put
it's like a very
on?
Powerful skill, I think.
Yeah.
You can do a lot with. I mean, you can
Yeah.
create, like, I guess, I don't know, I saw Oppenheimer last year, so I think about that a lot.
Yeah. So, like, I think I tend to, you know, I guess I tend to bring a conversation to the room where, like, you know, there's a lot of, like, I guess, like, muskheads, you know, in that kind of space.
Yeah, for sure.
Where they're like, you know, capitalism breeds innovation and stuff, and I'm like, well, why did Russia get manned space first? Like, like, why were they winning until we finally put enough money into science to actually do something?
Well, the problem with capitalism is that it's not going to make. I mean, the only reason it would work is if it makes money. Otherwise, it's not going to happen in capitalism.
So, you know, so I kind of bring a, you know, when I'm in engineering school, part of it is me being like, this, whatever job I get with this, even if it's just like a government job, will still be like a life changer in, like, I will be able to live a life where, like, I won't go to sleep for dinner. Like, you know, I will be able to live a life where I won't have to worry about which grocery store I go to. Like, I mean, it would be life changing.
For the money. I mean, that's the thing with. I think about a lot recently, but I think I've lived my life like this, especially in my adult life. Like, I try not to let monetary things stop me from creating art. I mean, obviously it's hard because you have to live and pay your bills and all that, but it's like, that's why I have so much credit card debt, or had. I'm trying to pay it down, but it's like, I need this stuff around me. It's like, I need to create this shit that I have, and it's like, the only way to do that is with expensive amps and gear and all this crap, so it's like, which I think I've done a good job of not. I've saved a lot of money on this stuff by getting used and getting stuff. But it's like, you know, I think we were saying is like, you have the money. It's like, once you have this good job with a good pay, you can create whatever you want and not worry about that, and not have to worry about your bills getting paid and buying groceries or whatever.
Yeah. So I was like, you know, that'd be one part of it, is like, one, I could, you know, have enough time to do the things that I actually want, and have enough money to do the things I actually want. But I also was just like, well, you know, in the case that, you know, this, you know, the world is not sustainable the way it is and all that stuff, and, you know, something were to happen, whether it's like climate crises or all that stuff, you know,
another pandemic.
When I was like doing work with, like, I did a lot of work with like Commonwealth urban farms, I noticed that like the leftist scene basically had like a lot of people who had like a variety of practical skills, like, you know, people who were plumbers, people who were handymen, people who were like working in hospitality and people like that, but they didn't have a lot of people that like understood how these systems worked on a macro level. And also I was reading a lot about like the power crisis and basically how there's like not enough engineers in America to keep the power running.
Because we're gonna need we're gonna need more and more. I mean, it's just the things with things changing, and I mean, it needs
basically
to be better,
like every person getting an engineering degree should switch to some form of power engineering. And then they should also convince 3 other people to get engineering degrees. That's how many engineers we need right now. And at the same time, getting an engineering degree costs like about $40,000. So
interesting. And you said it takes...
So I basically was like, okay, I need to, like, somebody has to know how this shit works. Like, we can't, if it does get to the point where we're in that post society, like, somebody has to know. Like, it can't just be maintaining the old systems. It also has to be, like, what happens if they really, really fail.
I think
like,
that's part of the problem that we're dealing with now is just trying to maintain old systems that aren't working anymore.
And the answer is to not have old systems.
I mean, that's what I think about with, like you were saying earlier, like the plumbers and but the plumbing systems, like in Oklahoma, right? Like, we've had a lot of like failures with our electrical grid that a few years ago with the storms and things. I mean, obviously the climate is changing, which affects different, the things that were built 100 years ago or 50 years ago or not.
And it's like under our current system, like the wealthy people are always going to have electricity, right? So
and they have the
it's only going to be the poor
good,
that are going to die of hypothermia and die of heat stroke.
What I like about what you're saying, I think you see a need for something in the world, and you've made the decision to put yourself in that. You can plug this hole. I mean, I think that I talk about that with. I was telling you about this about not having a gazette. That we talk about not having anyone in the news talking about the stuff that we're doing. Anyone on this level. It's like there's a need for that. So it's like I want to try to fill that. I mean, we talk a lot about that with what we want to do with this program and this channel. So, but I like that. I think that's kind of the key for everyone is to, if you feel like you don't have a purpose, just look around and see what needs to be done. And go towards that, especially the things you care about, like you saying you love. You care about the environment and other people, and thinking about the lesser fortunate people that.
Well,
you can help.
It's also like, I guess I don't like entering a community building or mutual aid mindset with like a mindset of like I'm giving you something, because like you giving something to your community is going to be something that gets you back. Like what
it will return.
Like what I like, because right now I would say I get more from the community. Like I am more often the person where like a friend offers to buy me dinner, then it will be later. So like, going into your community. I mean, I think it's a big thing in like, whatever you want to call it, like socialist, leftist, communist, whatever. Like, it's a big thing to say like, you're never giving something to the community. You're helping build the community, and like anything you do in there is going to come back to you tenfold. Like. So
because
it's not a sacrifice.
Because it's your community. I mean, if you're doing it for, that's what I think about. And I was talking about this earlier with, going to California or whatever. It's like, well, if my community is not what I want it to be, then I should try to make it better.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think if other people see you too, they want to be part.
Right.
Oh, I can do that. They've just been afraid to do it.
If you're presenting yourself to the community, it's like I think that's another issue with us, especially after the pandemic and we've all became shut-ins. It's like we can't live like that. You have to be in the community and put yourself in the world, and that's how things happen to you and get better.
We're a communal species that has been like driven into smaller and smaller.
Because we can now. I mean, it is possible to live in a hole and get shit delivered to you and never see the sun. I mean, it's not good, but you can do it.
Well, and
it sucks, but
but it's like.
It's possible.
You're literally losing life expectancy.
It's not good.
Like, it's killing us to be separated the way we are. Like nuclear families have been killing us since post World War II. Like it is not how we're supposed to live. Like we are not supposed to be in these houses that are like hundreds of yards apart from each other in neighborhoods that are miles away from the nearest fun thing to do.
Yeah. In the community where you can gather.
That is not.
Mhm.
I mean, even in tiny villages back when we had like wells and drank straight from the cow's teat, we still could walk a couple of steps and see some guy tell some jokes or something like that. Like, so I'm just
that's
very.
Something that we're. I agree. I think that's something that's interesting, and I talk about this a lot because I think we're in an unprecedented. We're always, I guess, in an unprecedented time, but like, it's like humans have never had the things that we have, and the problems that we deal with. We've never had to deal with them because they're brand new to our society. With like, we've never had access to like the information that we have. Honestly, I mean that we have the entirety of the human knowledge in our pocket at all times. Yeah, and it's like we can't even imagine. I mean, we don't even understand what power that is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so how do we're still figuring out a lot of things as a society, but I think it is a lot of mental health things that we're dealing with that our brains weren't evolved to deal with these social media and the amount of dopamine and things that we get and from all the stimulation from everywhere. So it's a problem, but I think that there's definitely, with mental health, that's a huge thing that I like to talk about with people on this show for sure, and want to talk more about. Yeah. Because I think it's important to talk about and to make it, because I started therapy, last year I did a little bit for about 6 months. I stopped, but I would go back. But of course, I think it was hugely helpful, and I think that we all do. But I think the reason why I didn't do it for so long is I was like, I just don't know what it is, really. You're afraid, you just don't understand it, and nobody talks about it enough. So trying to make it more, I guess, what is the word, like normal.
I think it's way more accepted now than it was.
But still, but I think a lot of people have a fear of it because they don't, because like with my family, we never talked about any of that kind of stuff growing up, so it's like,
I think the difficult for me is like money and time.
Yeah, that too, for sure.
With the money, you gotta be on the lowest part.
But I do think that there are some. I think that when you look into it too, it's not as bad as you think. It is worth it if you can get a good deal where you're only paying like even $10 or $20 a session. That's fucking cheap. And for what you get is nothing. I mean, it's less than Netflix. I mean,
But
even
it's
if you
also
did,
like, if we're creating a society where the answer to the mental health question is everybody has a therapist. Maybe.
What's our society?
Well,
I don't know.
If it creates people that need therapists.
Right. Well, but I just think that
maybe we could just fix the system.
But I think that there's like, I just mean as far as on a mental level is understanding kind of how to solve these issues that we have on the internal landscape that we don't talk about enough. And like that would make everyone better if we weren't so involved in like this self-doubt, and like I think we would be all happier and less, hurtful to each other.
Oh, sure.
Especially if you can, find peace in yourself. You're not going to go and try to destroy anyone else's life.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. I think that's kind of what I mean by that, for sure. Is like this toxicity of the internet, too. It's all very linked to mental health problems. But I don't know. We kind of went off, which I think I love.
Good times.
But
thanks for that.
So we can kind of wrap up, I guess, with some anything or any kind of last minute topics that you want to touch on.
I'm curious. Where do you see yourself in the future?
Yeah.
What's your goals?
Once I get my degree, that's like the main goal. So like graduation, I think, is planned in my Excel sheet. Like, it's when I'm 31 or 32.
Yeah.
So,
you got it all figured out.
And I'm 27 right now.
Yeah.
So like,
almost
there. Yeah. So once I graduate, I guess I plan on working the field, and I think I'd like to work a variety of different things. Like, I think I'd like to work
things,
I think I'd like to do like some radar, some power, learn about a bunch of different systems before settling on something. And I mean, really the goal is like, after that I can really choose what to do. Like, I'll have such a solid 9 to 5 that my 5 to 9 can be whatever. So
That's
you know,
perfect.
after that I'll be able to, like, if I wanted to take comedy more seriously and like go on road trips to like tour.
Yeah, because then you would have time, you could take off vacation or whatever. And
You know, I'd do that if I wanted to like live somewhere different where there was more of a scene.
There'd be so many opportunities once you have that degree. You could go anywhere. That's awesome.
So
kind of, it seems like you just the world's your oyster.
I mean, like,
after your
pretty much
job,
because you know, like, Europe is begging. So,
Is that your next target?
I don't know.
It's kind of a dream destination, maybe.
It kind of depends, because like, I am my brother's guardian, and actually a lot of Europe has like legal policy against people with disabilities immigrating. So
interesting.
They like will not allow you to live there if they believe you might like taint the breeding pool. So modern eugenics.
Wow, yeah, I know that exists.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
The world has many different ways to keep you down.
Ain't that the truth?
For sure.
But that's I mean, honestly, it's just like get that degree and live a life that is like easier and more free.
That's good.
That's the goal.
That's the way. I mean, I love that goal.
I think ultimately, no matter what you do, I think it'll be good, just because it's you have that. You want to help other people. You're not, you're gonna do a lot of things. Like you said, I love that about whenever you help your community, it's gonna come back. You're gonna succeed, because
I think that's very true.
People are gonna want to help you. I always say this too. It's like when you help someone else, it automatically makes them want to help you. They automatically, even if you don't ask for anything in return. In their mind, they're like, I have to repay you in some way, and they're going to.
Humans literally have like
where they can
a natural biological like
natural
need and desire to help and connect with one another.
So,
it is how we survived. Like, never let anybody convince you that is like not what we're supposed to be doing. It is
I think it's
exactly what we're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely, just connecting in different ways.
It's what you're going to be the most naturally good at.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So I guess we have like final questions. I guess you already asked
we used to do
one.
worst bomb, but I like the idea of doing like favorite show.
Yeah, what's your favorite
show? Favorite performance? Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the Factory Obscura show.
Yeah, that was incredible.
I keep hearing about that.
I mean, like,
love that.
I think that was like a highlight in all of our careers.
Yeah.
Like, it was.
I thought about that while I was there watching all you guys. It's like this was like that one and the one, I think it was like the next week after that. At 89. You're on both, right?
Yeah.
And so watching you guys do that, and it was like everyone was like, it was like the Super Bowl or something, like kind of like all season I've watched you guys work on open mics and doing different shows, and it's like this is the big event at the end of the year.
I love it.
And everybody did a great job, and it was like successful, so it was like the big performance at the end of the year. I don't know why it felt like that, but
Chandler Watson, he said, he was like, man, it was the best I've ever done. It was the most fun.
Like, I don't know if it's because like we all had a theme, so like
it's an interesting concept.
It all had to like at least be, if you were going to use your old material, you at least had to like make it under the theme and stuff. But even then, like Natalie Perez like reskinned a lot of her jokes to be like Mother's Day jokes.
Right, because it's like anything that she had to do with her mom, she could use.
But then it made it so funny because like it made it so like the reason she was doing all these crazy things was because her mom told her to do stuff. and so like even that, like the like there was no person that left that stage without like people really dying, and like people were really invested. That's when I realized like mic quality is so important. Like, and And yeah, like that's the most I've been like, okay, if we took this shit seriously, the people would come in like a real way. And if we always booked the comics that, you know, do actually write new stuff and do actually practice.
Yeah, just put the actual work in.
And if we did like give them the opportunity to say like, hey, if you want to step your game up, like here's the floor. Yeah. And we gave those people those opportunities, they will kill and they will sell out. Like we sold out a show with $15 tickets as local stand-ups.
Yeah,
like
there's anybody that anyone knew in particular. It was
and I'm like, that's unheard of.
It
like,
really is
you know,
incredible.
You put $5 at the door at most shows, and it's like,
it's
oh, I don't know about that. Like, so I was just like, okay, like if we wanted to, like we can really,
it's possible.
Step the game up, and people will come if they know it's like not going to be your performers that have been saying the same things for 7 years.
Concept. That's what I think I love to see is new concepts of different types of shows, and not just because you were talking about doing some stuff like that for Put a Cork in It.
Yeah, they added another show
to do a different type of
2 shows a month now.
Oh,
so we're gonna do a regular show, and then we're gonna do like a theme show. And I think the first one, just because Liz said it, and I was like, that's a brilliant idea. It's like a Whose Line Is It Anyway? I'm a big Drew Carey fan. So it's just like, oh yeah, we gotta just give it a shot. What's the worst that happens?
Absolutely.
You know? Like, I think we might sell that one a little cheaper because we're raising the price because it's selling.
Well, the other one, the regular show, it's like I was like, it's too cheap.
Well, last night we had like one guy was like, I can't believe that this happens here. Like, it
was incredible. Last night was great.
It's like a real production.
So we'll hopefully be able to do, get bigger stages and like you're saying, and put on have bigger rooms for people like, our friends to perform on soon.
That's all. I mean, just make stuff and add people to it. It's fun.
So that's great.
Thanks so much for coming. This is so much fun. Thank you for having such a great conversation and making so much cool stuff.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I didn't even realize it's interesting that this keeps happening, but it's like, maybe it's just the natural thing, but I didn't even realize, but you're a comedian and a musician. Like, the whole thing with this show, it's like so many people have these, as performers, we have so many of these different skill sets, but they all, I don't know, it's fun to see. So thank you for coming and doing what you do.
Thank you guys.
Continue to watch you. So I guess that's it for the show. You have a couple of upcoming events, but if you want to stick around, or you can go if you gotta go too.
Okay.
Anyway, I guess we're just gonna shout out his next show for next week, or actually, sorry, back up real quick. But what's the show you want to shout out, or anything that you got coming up to talk about before we get out of here?
Be sure to hit up Wampus Weathers Wednesdays every first Wednesday of every month. Praying on that extension after May.
At least a couple months. So
and that's at Legally Brewed in Norman, which is at 123 West Main Street. And that's at 7 p.m. every first Wednesday. We not only host comedians, but we also set them up with fun games and mock interviews. So it's a different kind of comedy show. And then my next stand-up show will be at Point A Gallery on February 23rd at 8 p.m.
With the date night, is that right?
Yes. And the very talented Kaylin Reese, Chandler Watson, and Mystique. I forget her last name that she had on.
I just saw the poster for that, so it'll be fun. So that's in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, that's on the 23rd, but I guess it'll be like on 10 days from... Yeah.
Well, this will come out, and we'll shout that out again next week. I'm excited for that. And then other than that, well, I'll shout out one real quick, because for Nick, for the upcoming events, for Friday, February 16th, looks like there is a comedy contest at Legends Pub House and Venue in Chickasha.
Oh.
I couldn't find too many details, but I know you're gonna be there competing, and it's at Legends. They do a lot of comedy and stuff. I don't know. Do you have any more information about that?
It's you could win $250.
Yeah.
So and then you also can win a spot on their show. They usually do a showcase, and so you get this opportunity to go out. One, the pub house is huge. The stage is great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a beautiful venue. And then the guy that runs it, Arrow, he's been doing a lot to try to bolster comedy in Chickasha, which is hard to do because it's hard to bolster anything in Chickasha.
Well, a lot of these small towns, like we talk a lot about Lawton, those
but there's
guys
little
out there.
pockets, like you know. But this is one of them, and he really does a great job. But yeah, and I'm real excited. I want to win. I want to win just because $250 is great.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying, guys?
You put that, I mean,
That's what you're stepping in.
Never made $1 I didn't like.
Put that right back into your art. So
Yeah.
that'll be good
yeah.
for anyone that wins, hopefully. I mean, so yeah, I just wanted to shout that out real quick because I know you've got that, but then of course you've got the big event. I guess you're not actually going to be on this show.
No, I am not on this show. All right, I don't deserve to be on this show. Okay, this is the Lively Comedy Showcase, baby. This is Sunday, February 18th, 6 p.m. I say Nick Campbell Comedy and Lively Beerworks team up to bring you side-splitting shows, but it's going to be Liz Campbell hosting. She's going to be hosting the show. I'm going to be taking tickets at the door and looking pretty. So,
Nice.
You have to dye your hair now.
no, just looks as good. All right, but then we get ready
At
for
least take a couple buttons.
I mean, that was going to happen. I'm not going to shave any of this chest hair. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to look like kind of strangles.
Yeah. Maybe get some extensions.
Yeah. Because, I mean, look, I don't want to take away from the show. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be, I'm not trying to be in the limelight on this one.
You got a great lineup.
A good booth babe is better seen than heard,
Exactly.
you know?
Felt.
Yeah.
Better felt. My presence. I wouldn't look. Okay, that was an accident. But like I said, get ready for a night of laughter and good vibes. We've got some awesome door prizes, which we usually do a board game. I love board games.
Yeah, card games.
And then Lively gives away a beer pack and $25 gift card. And then there's Molly's Tamales is going to be there.
Nice.
And there's gluten-free options with Molly's Tamales. And then also our lineup is Julie Drake, Ms. Kitty, Katie Alley, Ava C., Carly Marissa Dummett, and Raven Burris. Now I didn't get to pick any of these. Liz picked the lineup.
She booked the whole lineup.
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
I had to go get them.
Yeah.
But she's like, Nick, go get these people.
She gave you the list. Said, here it is.
And of course, my beautiful wife, Liz Campbell. Don't miss a chance to enjoy some of the finest comedy acts in the area. Grab your tickets now and let's laugh until our sides hurt. Lively Beer Works, 815 Southwest 2nd Street. Doors at 5:30, show at 6. It's $5. If you can't find $5, you don't need to be there.
So you probably need to go get a job or something.
Or you could just ask nice. I mean,
No, that'd be a great show. I'm excited for this. It'll be like the February Valentine's Day, all female comics, which is great to see. I think that a lot of people say this. It's like they're like, there's not a lot of female comics, but there are a ton. I think there are a lot, but there's probably not enough. But
I think there's a lack of I'm looking for more people, honestly. And guys, if you want to submit anything, to hit me up in the DMs. I'm looking for people right now. Just fresh blood out of town. You know, people I haven't used before. I've had people come up and talk to me. It's like, hey man, because breweries all are interconnected, and a lot of the same people go to the different breweries. We're starting a new thing at Rough Tail Brewery, and the first thing she said was like, hey, all the brewery people talk and they all see the same stuff, so we need to bring some fresh blood. And I was like, all right, I gotta know more people now. But it hasn't been hard. It's been, it's pretty entertaining. I like watching clips.
Getting to know some people out in Tulsa and bringing those people down.
I've been taking trips.
There's just a lot of comics out there, so, and it's not, So, I mean,
but there's opportunity in that, I think. Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. So it's actually Liz and my 10-year anniversary this month. Oh. So I'm sure she's going to talk about that. So I'm a little scared.
She's
But it'd be good.
Yeah, I'm saying get the extensions, like.
Yeah. Maybe it's time to show out.
Yeah. You know,
So-
push them together.
Well, I got a little bit.
So that's it for the show. That's it for the events. I guess one thing on the events, like, I don't know, if anybody's watching, if you got events, email them to rhythmandwit@gmail.com, because it would honestly help. I mean, I can't promise that I'll talk about it, but like, I a lot of times do need help finding stuff to talk about, because this week, I mean, I knew about your stuff, but it's hard to find what's actually going on sometimes if you're really looking. So if you want to be, some people have asked me to shout stuff out, but it's hard sometimes with the timing too.
Yeah.
Because
So
I
2
need
weeks
to,
before.
as soon as you can, send me a flyer or something if you think about it, or DM on Instagram, of course. I want to start using that and just DMing that account from my account with shit to remember, just to have it.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, I just wanted to shout that out. And of course, go to nickcampbellcomedy.com.
What up?
New website, blog is popping off. So
I'm not popping off, but
well, it's happening.
I'm forcing it out there.
I mean, it's happening. That's what I meant.
It's happening. But
It's
sign up
popping.
for the mailing list, because there's going to
Yeah,
be
the mailing
merch
list.
deals. There's going to be information on upcoming shows, and there's also going to be promo codes for future shows.
So yeah, and then follow Rowan to keep up with your stuff.
I'm at Jester Rowan as like a comedian.
Yeah,
and
that's your comedian count.
Yeah, if you know me as a person in real life and you request to follow Rowan Oki, the personal one,
Yeah.
I'll think about it.
Yeah. More, but still.
I make no promises, but Jester Rowan, it's for you, you know?
Yeah, that's what you want to promote and everything. So if you want to find out what you're doing,
Not everybody needs to be seeing like me making dumb memes about my
Yeah,
boyfriend's
just-
ass.
But they're super funny.
Yeah,
So, thanks
everything
again.
reminds me of him.
And that's love. I think we just that was it. That was the end note. Good job, guys. You did it. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
That was so much fun. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys.
Gay marriage being legal